I gotta make it up though.
Kids don't understand
If
that,
it's a
though,
half
like,
day,
it's
they
more
don't
than
have to.
a week away, they don't.
Well, we haven't used it hardly any of us nowadays. We should have days.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've only used the one.
Yeah, for sure. It'll probably still be cold in May anyway.
I wonder if Christie's coming.
I haven't heard from anyone.
She's right there. Oh.
I'll just text her quick. I know Sailor was gonna be gone.
Yeah, she's in Florida.
Christie's probably gone because we
Told her
nominated her to be the secretary.
This is true.
We good?
For the.
For when Sailor was gone. Cause Sailor was gonna call in and it was like, no, you don't need to call in.
I don't remember any of this.
Really?
At the last meeting.
You gotta love sports season. Hey, I dropped my white turf shoe. You know if somebody picked it up?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we picked it up.
It's constant.
Might just wait a minute or two if that's fine.
Yeah. If we're done with park plan by 6:30, then you have to get to the end.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
You have your key?
Yeah.
Okay.
I moved the front door key to my regular keys instead of on the baby, so that I carry the big dog around with me. Drop the crow's nest keys on.
It takes you an hour just to find the key. You never get confused with crow's nest. You always have that key.
Yep. Nate brought me around the city and I had my wad of keys trying to figure out what goes to what and all that.
Did you walk with a limp and drag your foot?
There's it's like 7 keys on the keychain
Crow's
for
nest.
the crow's nest.
Just for one?
I go, what's CN? Oh, crow's nest. This is crow's nest. I'm like,
Crow's nest? Crow's nest.
See, they're just trying to keep people out of each layer of the crow's nest. It's like an escape room. Lennox escape room. Get out of the crow's nest. You're like, where's Orville? Yeah, you good luck. Go find him. Up in the crow's nest. Did you walk your dogs outside today?
Not today. Let's switch the chicken.
right.
I'm usually pretty tough, but wind is my.
This wind is awful.
Cold wind. Can't do it.
Driving to Sioux Falls this morning, about 6 this morning, I've done a couple times, like go past the shelter belt and stuff. It was like moving my whole vehicle. I was just like, yeah, that's all of the 50-mile-an-hour, whatever winds it was. Yeah, it was.
It goes out on
I was like,
It's on there.
Thank goodness there was no snow. Like a tiny bit would have
would
been.
have been awful.
Yeah,
Then they would have had snow day.
Yeah, everybody's on.
Visibility.
exactly. Do you need something, Steve?
I was looking, oh, you just don't have her name tag out because we knew she wasn't coming, I suppose.
Sailor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't heard back.
Well, we don't have a quorum, but we can still, discuss stuff. We just can't take any action, so.
Okay. So we'll call the meeting to order.
Not officially.
Yeah, this discussion to order.
Yeah.
We don't, oh, here we go. I haven't
Oh,
quite.
there we go.
Oh, we're quorum
called it to
now.
order.
Yeah. So you can call it to order as soon as Kristen's in here.
As soon as she crosses the threshold.
We expected the entrance.
We're good.
No music, no nothing.
You should have seen her walk through. She was like this. She's like,
A little hoppity hop.
Okay, now, we can call the meeting to order. Any additions to the agenda or changes?
I want to discuss something about the softball fields.
Okay. So we would add that to 6C?
Yep.
Is that, okay, softball fields. Okay, do we have to approve that, or,
Yeah, you'll have a motion to approve the agenda.
Oh, yeah,
As
okay.
amended.
okay, so motion, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I'll motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Any visitors to be heard? Doesn't look like it. So we'll go on to the minutes from last month. Take a look, and then when you're ready, give a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll motion to approve, because I do not see any mistakes, but somebody else may. It looks good to me.
So do we have to approve the month before as well? Because
Did
No.
you not do that one?
No,
number
it
3
wasn't
says
ready.
minutes
Right.
pushed to March.
That's right.
So can we approve this
You
one?
can, but I don't have them in front of you.
Okay. Just approve this one for now then, and then,
Yeah.
okay. So
So those are the January minutes that need to be approved yet?
I
Yep.
think so.
Yep.
Okay, start with that.
Okay.
So motion to approve February's minutes.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to the Parks and Rec Director, Christie.
All right, so you should have the report in front of you and kind of follow along with numbers here, but, just some updates on the programs, the rec programs for soccer. We've got registration closed and we'll be starting that already on April 5th. Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. So for this year, we have 111 players for soccer. For the spring, last year was 105 and the year prior was 66. So some good growth in those areas. Baseball, we've got registration that closed. We have a league meeting taking place on April 12th at Burt's. I'm unable to attend, so Steve is gonna go in my place. And that'll be where they're looking at scheduling games already and that sort of a thing, so. We'll get him prepped for that and ready to go. Numbers for this year for baseball, there are 138 players. Over last year's, or under last year's 182. So we did have a bit of a cut there, majority loss in that 12U age
And
group.
that's just because some kids are playing not rec and just tournament teams.
That was the majority of it. There was, a little bit down in a couple of the other age groups as well when I looked at numbers, but that was the majority, so.
Can you go as well?
Let me look here, got it right here. Tenu's down, yep, by about 8. Nope, I lied. 10U is up by 4.
Oh, wow.
8U is down.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then for softball, we've got, an extended deadline. We just had heard that there were some people that missed that deadline, and we're not yet at a point where we've got league meetings starting and that sort of a thing, and I haven't had a chance to kind of get through those registration numbers, so we're extending that until noon on Friday. Numbers there, we're at 114 players. Last year we had 145. The majority was also in that 12U age group, so current 5th and 6th and 7th graders. Spring pickleball, we've got 9 teams again this year as we did last year. That starts this Sunday. Schedule's out, all ready to go, out to the teams and on the website as well, so. Oh, and the spring soccer schedule, that has all been communicated out to coaches. We have a coaches meeting, I should mention, next Tuesday night. So we'll pass out t-shirts for soccer, and that sort of thing, so,
Was it email sent out about that?
yes.
I'll check.
I was just checking to make sure it was on my calendar, because I'm apparently supposed to be there as well.
I'll go check and see if I invited you.
It's on mine.
Invited you, okay.
How did it work out for, like the real young kid registration for spring soccer? Was there a lot of the 4-year-olds?
So we were not too far out from registration closing, and I think when we had that conversation, and there were not that many signed up, I think there was just 2.
Oh, okay.
So I thought, well, that was easy. One, she was like, he's ready, we're letting him join, and the other one was like, no problem, let's wait a year, kind of a thing, so it worked out well.
She was like, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then staffing wise, we do have a few applications that came in this week, both for the recreation assistants and for the ops. So I would just welcome you to try to help get the word out on that as well, so.
Rec assistants, groundskeepers, we could use both, so.
And with park updates, I've got a meeting next week, with the folks who have been volunteer running the, Pedal Pals Park. Get some planning going for that, trying to do a call out for volunteers to help with the watering, weeding, and so forth. Jen and I are looking into the potential for an online reservation system for the campground. It's nothing for sure, but just kind of looking into it, even if it's for next season. We've got the new double batting cage that'll be installed this spring. The goal date for that is May 1, if not earlier, weather permitting. But we've got Hardy doing the concrete work. Sports Games will be doing the installation of those cages. Drew already has it all staked out and is gonna call the 811. LBSA is running that contract, and then just as a reminder, the city supported that project and then on our $15,000. I did come up with, it's just a try, and we don't know if it's gonna work or not, but a Google Doc. So I'm gonna have a different Google Doc for each of the fields so that the coaches can communicate on when practices are like as a standard from week to week, and then if there's open time slots on a field, then they can request that, and I'll add that onto that Google Doc, so before they go down to the field, they can know if they have that open slot or not. So doing some work with that, both with the fields and with the batting cages, so that there's a schedule available.
So like,
I think that's good.
That's great.
a living document instead of.
Yes,
Yep.
that's a great.
Right. What I don't yet know that I have to troubleshoot is the whole business about, like, do you need to have a Google account in order to access the Google Doc and those sorts of things, so I have to do a little bit of more research on that.
You should be able to make it editable by just a link, anyone with the link.
Well, but she's gonna be the only one editing it. They have to request,
Oh,
otherwise
well,
people would kick
viewable.
me, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
anyone
Viewable.
can view
I
it.
think anybody can view it.
You
but
can
editing
make
might
it
be
where
a
it can
different
be
story.
viewable.
Okay.
Yeah, editing, and
Okay.
everybody else will be like, well, see, my name's in there.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. For the big field, I'm gonna let them edit just because they're so used to all of them
Yeah.
working together, and it's a little bit, you know, but, okay. Pool, we've got, the painting will be done, I think the week of April 8th, I believe,
Seventh.
April
Yep.
7th.
Just supposed the same week.
Yeah, they'll be repainting the diving board and the pool. And then the hiring process is well underway, hopefully finalized soon.
Yep.
Westerman Park, the new playground equipment, I don't have an exact update on that, but I think they're just waiting for the
We
ground.
just need to hear from the contractor for install. Yep. I would think April, but I haven't heard anything, so we should probably follow up on that.
Clinton had mentioned the potential, if there's an opportunity to have a flagpole at the softball field for national anthem, so we can kind of look at that. I'll visit with Drew and Nate about that.
If you look at the scoreboard, because they used to have that really big old scoreboard, so we got a smaller scoreboard, so there's still an I-beam post, it has nothing on it. So if you put a post on that, like a flagpole onto that, it's not going anywhere, and there's electrical there, so you can have a light shining on it. I think it'd be an easy put up. But otherwise, now if we do the national anthem, they have to everybody has to turn and look at the baseball field if the flag's up. So, otherwise we don't do it at all, but.
Band shell upgrades, that project, we just met with the architects and the contractors for that, and the goal for those are to be done early June. And then staffing on the park side of things, we are looking for seasonal groundkeepers, so please, anybody that you know, you have to be age 16 or older, really looking to be able to get some good solid hours in there. I think it's a big keep, you know, once you get through it all, you're going back through it all again, so. Help us spread the word. That's all I have.
Okay. Just going back to the baseball, I think you said 8U was lower too. I mean, is that lower compared to the ages we had last year that were in maybe T-ball still, and the 7-year-olds?
Yeah, T-ball last year compared to 8U this
T-ball
year?
last year was at 30. This year, 8U is at 44.
Okay,
Whereas 8U last year was 53. So, I mean, it's not a huge drop, but decent. 10U is 4 more than last year, and then 12U was the larger drop.
because I know T-ball last year, at least girls side, but I think boys only had 4 teams
Yeah,
as
you're
well.
Yeah.
You know, I think the numbers were low then too, so that would maybe,
Right.
you know, as they're moving up, that probably accounts for
When you're
why
starting
there's
with
a,
the lower,
yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
And our class sizes
Mhm.
have been lower the last couple of years,
Mhm.
so that's probably part of that.
Yeah.
Were
What about-
tournament team numbers, sorry Steve,
No,
were
go ahead.
tournament team numbers down also for people interested in 10U, 12U, or are you kind of waiting to see if people respond here?
An email went out last
Yeah.
night, thanks for asking that. So we were at 24 or 5 or 6, somewhere in there, for the amount of people that signed up to be interested in tryouts for 10U
Okay.
only, so. And then with 12U, I think we maybe had 5 of the 13 that registered, so it's just, we can cross that bridge when it comes. We need to do a tryout at all, but if that group of boys wants to go ahead and enter some tournaments, we could certainly consider doing that, so.
And then, how about, and maybe this is Clint too, like, I mean, that 145 to 114 for softball, is there something, like, did they do something
So,
different? Are they
in-
all going travel too
In
now?
12U last year, there was a lot of girls who were at the cusp to go up that stayed
Okay.
back in 12U. So there's a disparage in numbers because there were a lot of girls who could have been 14 with the rest of them, but then stayed back. So it was
Okay.
bigger than it was artificially inflated.
Yep. Okay,
That's good to know.
I just didn't know if it was something else too, like where everyone's going.
I'm guessing
and
that's-
finding a different team.
I'm
too.
guessing, I know there was a lot of
Yeah.
girls that are now up 14 doing that, so.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Anyone else have anything? Otherwise we'll move on, unless you had more. Okay. All right, let's move on then to the master park plan.
Board members, just bring this back up, we didn't have a whole lot of time for discussion at the last meeting, so I want to make sure we have plenty of time for any questions you may have in discussion tonight. And I do have some questions specifically around it, but any feedback off the start that you would have regarding that proposed master park plan from Stockborough?
It's really good information to have. The one thing is the price tag is a lot to have it. Not saying that it's not needed, but $70,000 to have it is chunk when you talk about Parks and Rec budget, I feel like, but.
Yeah, and we'd have to, my guess is we'd have to pull something out of second penny for this. It's not something that would necessarily, I mean, the park and rec budget isn't big enough on its own to absorb.
Yeah.
I mean, we would backfill it somehow. I'm not gonna say I'm not concerned about the cost because it wasn't budgeted. Do we have money? Yeah, we've got money. It's not like we don't have something available, but I prefer to have it budgeted. It's another one of the options is to wait a few months and see how sales tax continues to do. One of the things we were concerned about last year's budget was item 28 with the sales tax voter initiative. That failed, so we do have extra money coming in that we weren't planning on. And so far this year, we're up about 7 to 8% over last year on sales tax. So that equates to about another $60,000 or $70,000 overall. So we can see if that continues to be the trend. We can hold back for a while. We can even do this next year after it's been budgeted. I'm not in any hurry to get it done. I would like to talk to the mayor and see where he's at on wanting to move forward with this, because I think that has an impact as well.
And with this in place, or not in place, let's say, are we stuck at, well, we gotta wait until we do a park plan before we put money towards this other big project that we might do or whatever.
I would be hesitant to make any major changes at the parks until we have this in place, have something in place.
So we're not throwing good money into bad money because we put it somewhere that we shouldn't have put it.
If I put a soccer field where it turns out we should have a softball field, that's a
Sure,
problem.
yeah.
So my opinion would be then that I think we should just move forward, I mean, recommend it or whatever.
See if we can
Because
find
the
one.
sooner, if it's gonna be there anyway, or we need it anyway, we might as well recommend it, I think, but.
I agree.
Because otherwise we're behind by 3 or 4 months for everything we try to do, I think. So, that would be my thought.
I mean,
If I remember right, this is at least a 6-month process.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why you putting it out 3 months then puts us that much further.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. And we'll be, I mean, if we were to start this in April, which we won't, but the end of this plan will miss the next budget cycle as well. So we may just have to put some placeholders in the next budget to kind of say, whatever's in the park plan that we can tackle next year, we'll do it with this amount of money. But in terms of large-scale change at the park, I think we need to be clear that, I mean, we obviously don't want this to just sit on a shelf and collect dust. We've had that before, we don't want that to happen. There will be public scrutiny over it because, number one, this costs a lot of money. I guarantee you the actual plan is gonna cost a lot more.
Mhm.
And so, you know, the big question after that is, if you're not gonna let this sit on a shelf, how are you going to pay for it?
Yep.
And at that point, we can start talking about whether there's going to be a general obligation bond, similar to what we did with the swimming pool. That is the most likely source of funding for major park overhauls. We can do a lot of little stuff, but if you want something big, you know, we're talking on the scale of a couple $1 million, you're probably gonna have to pass a bond with the voters.
I think the park is the spot where everyone can use it. I mean, every citizen has the ability to go use,
Yep.
you know, so I think that's a good benefit.
We've got a history in Lennox of supporting these kinds of projects, whether it's the most recent school bond or the swimming pool bond. It's not that that support isn't there, but as you know, as property values increase, so do property tax bills, and that support can wane, so.
I think giving them a chance to voice their opinions ahead of time through, you know, this process, surveys, things like that, is certainly gonna be helpful to know that they got to weigh in on what's prioritized and where to put the resources.
I like
Right, it's
the,
not just the board coming up with
Exactly.
this, it's
Right.
not just, you know, the people in this room that are discussing it.
Yeah,
It's-
and there's actual facts behind what's going forward, instead of saying, I just think it's gonna fit here.
yeah.
You know, this is gonna be ADA accessible because of these reasons. This population is not being serviced unless we get something there, there's actual data behind it.
And they mentioned too that it's not just, you know, us sending out like a survey monkey or something. It has to be statistically significant data to include it into this, so I think
Yep.
that is good too. But they'll
Something
keep
we've
working
never
on it.
done.
Right, yeah, so I think,
I
That's
appreciated
what-
that too, because it was under the understanding then that you're needing to have the different voices and
Yeah.
they are looking through that data, you know, working through it to make sure that most of the input isn't coming from specialized groups and
Or one
therefore-
part of town.
Mhm.
I want to be clear that you're still going to have those discussions.
Yep.
It will still happen, and you just need to be prepared to have those discussions with, you know, everybody's going to have the opportunity to complete the survey.
Yep.
Opting out of it is more likely than not being aware of it, so.
Okay, so from us to move that forward, we would just need to
So we can
vote
vote,
to recommend it.
Recommend it to the city council, and it may take some time, guys, for me to get it there, just to map
Right,
out how we're gonna
right.
make this work financially, but we'll take it to the city council if you recommend it.
well, I motion to move it to the city council for approval.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of moving it to the city council? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, good. passed. All right, on to new business, the summer rec program.
This shouldn't take long, but just wanted to get any other feedback from y'all before I kind of finalize plans here in the next couple weeks. But I just kind of mapped out, as you can see, the different grade levels that they were thinking, similar to last year. The green activities are the ones that I've already been in touch with them, and they have interest in helping, to run that 2-day program. The yellow, I've reached out to, haven't yet heard back from, and then the blue ones there are kind of still in motion. But the goal would be to have the 3 hours. So starting at 9, go 9 to 10, 10:15 to 11:15, 11:30 to 12:30 for each of those 3 age groups. And the recommendation from the park board at last meeting was to, instead of doing 4 days in a row, just having it be 2 days and then doing more activities through the summer. So we'd be working on getting those all kind of mapped out based on availability of the people who are going to be helping and so forth. There's just some random notes on the bottom that are for my use. I reached out to some of the churches and different activities to see when they have programming and things, so I don't need to worry about that. But is there anything missing? Oh, and then we do have the 3 dates all lined up with the outdoor campus as noted on here as well. But you can see outdoor campus, golf, and the baton twirling. That was an exciting one. Jen shot me.
Was not on the bingo card.
Jen reached out, and I'm like, I love it. Actually, she was thinking about one of her ideas, and I wanted to touch base with you all on, but she said she could even do like run an actual baton twirling program and have it be like a 5-week session, and then do a performance in the parade, which I thought would be neat too.
Oh, that'd be
So we could either do it here, or we could do that as just a standalone kind of program for people to sign up. I didn't know.
Could you do both though? If somebody just wants to do a short little 2-day one and not commit to a full session?
Potentially, yes, but in order to be prepared for July, like we'd have to get, the batons ordered and,
Right.
Have that start pretty soon. Cause that's what I was thinking, you could try the 2-day thing. But if we planned it early enough, it could, people who are interested to potentially then do like a longer program and things, so.
So the one thing I'd be curious about with that in this, in the 10-week thing, is like, you'd probably lose a lot of boys then from
Yeah.
that week or that
Yeah,
session.
right,
And so maybe moving it to its
to its own
own
program.
would be better, and replacing it with something else where everyone would be involved. Because I think the rest are pretty,
Yeah,
like, could be boy, girl.
I was really planning on topping off as the time for it.
I was getting ready for it. I was like,
Parade.
I'm like, it's go time.
I can pencil your name in there.
I was like, let's go!
But,
I
and
like
that's,
it.
The most
just
intense
a-
baton
I
twirler.
think it would be fun to have that be part of the parade too, so if y'all are good with
I
that. we
I
can
think
forward
that's
with that.
cool. I
Yeah,
like the idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fun.
cool. The outdoor campus and golf, and I was thinking potentially pickleball. The younger age group, I think that's just, well, for sure outdoor campus, he really likes to have 2nd grade and older. I still have to touch base with Jacob and Trey on the golf side of things. And it would
It's
be-
pretty rough for golf to
Yeah,
do.
right, I
There's
was
Yeah.
a 2nd grade teacher, and I can't imagine anything.
Lots of
Yeah.
divots.
Yeah.
Lots of divots.
There would be quite a bit of coordination on the golf side, just in terms of the equipment needed and, different things like that, right?
Yeah.
So that one's probably more of a maybe, depending on what we can get around to that, but, does this look kind of
It looks good.
Yeah.
okay with
Yep.
what we
I like
talked about
the-
last time?
The different scope of, there's athletic stuff, there's
Gardening,
gardening, art stuff.
outdoor, I like the
I like
outdoor
all that.
campus. People like that one. That might be your fullest one,
Which one?
outdoor campus.
This is still a fairly new program, so we're still kind of feeling our way through the financials of it. Last year I think we did just fine. We'll just wanna make sure we're keeping close tabs on what our expenses are so that our registration fees are appropriate.
Yeah,
Would you do like, you can sign up for 1 week at a time, or you could do 5 weeks, or you could do all 10, or how would you?
I have to figure out how to build, I think I'll have them each be a separate registration.
Okay.
So that because I think that what I heard from everybody is it'd be nice to go throughout
Yeah.
the whole summer, and so do 2 days here, 2 days here, you
Yeah.
know, throughout the summer, and so then it'll just be nice and clean cut with who's going to what. And
And then that way they don't feel obligated to have to postpone something, because, well, we got our kid in this, but we're gotta do this, so that way they can,
Kinda a la carte pick, yeah. Are there any other ideas that are missing that we would like to throw on there?
I think that's great. I don't think you wanna get them too over. I think that looks really good.
I think it looks good. I like it broken up, I mean, like along the whole summer, or whatever, not whole summer, but the majority of summer is covered with activities that kids can do then.
At some point, it would be good to discuss as a group too, just for future planning in terms of the younger kiddos. We've had a few inquiries already since I've started with like, what do you have for my, 3 to 5 year old kind of a thing, right? So, right. The only thing that I could see that would be doable are something like the yard games or something music, or like when I was growing up, we had tumbling, or, just kind of.
Throw some
I
mats
just thought you might just want to pause on that and have some further discussions.
I hear yard games for little kids. Remember
Yard
those
darts?
That was such a great idea.
Oh, God. Remember, I love playing that with the neighborhood kids.
Okay, I'll get going on this, and I'm hoping maybe to have Margot Jane help with some, like a nice, good-looking PDF, because the version that I would come out with is probably not gonna be as visually appealing, so.
You mean take the art week?
Yeah,
That one too.
yeah, so that's a high school art teacher, and she was very enthusiastic in volunteering to help out, and, yeah, so that was kinda neat, so, yeah,
Awesome, thank you.
yeah.
All right, moving on to B, adult softball.
This is kind of a two-part conversation. We had an inquiry about if there would be, an interest for Parks and Rec to do adult softball. My main questions really were, the timeline of it, cause this just came in, or would that be able to pull that off? Field space. And then also, you need to have quite a few people per team. I don't have any idea what the interest would be, nor do I know how many other teams there would be to play. So we would need a pretty big number if we were to play people, from around here or whatever. So, but I know that the church league that happened several years ago, that was unassociated with the city,
Right.
but I think that.
But church league died out because nobody wanted to play anymore. The only people that wanted to play were the Catholics, and they had the most people.
Sure.
The rest of the churches were,
Yeah,
the Catholics had all the young kids, everybody else's population was getting older, and they were like, it's not even fun.
yeah.
Because they had all these 20-year-old kids, and there's 30, 40-year-old guys out there, so that's why it died.
Knees after it.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Pulling hammies and all that.
Yeah.
So that's why it's, I don't know if there's gonna be a whole lot of, I
Right.
mean, you could throw something out there, but your competitive leagues are all in Sioux Falls,
Well-
there's some other towns around that have them, but to have a league, that would be.
I doubt this would be a competitive league.
I'm
I
not saying
I know.
competitive, but like have a league where you
Yeah.
have enough people where you can compete.
I think part of it, you're right on, I mean, the church, but some of that was people from those churches, for the most part, stopped going.
Yeah.
Did that mean that other adults didn't wanna go? I don't know. Cause I know like some churches started combining to make a team.
Oh, yeah, it was, and then,
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, when it got to the end there, we were playing and we had, people would just hang around, because nobody had enough players, and so there'd be one guy who'd play all the games, the whole thing, he'd play the whole time. So there was very few nights where every church would have enough guys, and one guy would play the whole night. I mean, so it was pretty slim the last few years.
We're still debating adult volleyball, right? Sand volleyball, like, is it worth a survey to see among adults what sports they would be interested in?
So
in
that's-
addition to pickleball?
Great segue. That was kind of the part two, because that inquiry just kind of
the question?
Yeah.
led me to be like, what's our process for if we have really good ideas coming in? So how do we plan for that and figure out kind of where that interest is?
So maybe we do put out a survey and, cause something that I think would have interest, and I think it's a lot less people, but we'd need a spot for it, would be like wiffle ball.
No, yeah, or kickball, you know, things like that.
We've done kickball.
Right.
too.
So
Okay.
things like that, I think you could,
But we could add all of them to it and just
See what the interest
see
is.
what people would be interested in, if they are interested.
you don't have to run nearly as far after a wiffle ball. They don't go as far, it's a lot.
Well, and I think we could consider, like, do we wanna do leagues, or do we wanna do a one-day kind of a tournament thing? Because, I don't know, I'm just speaking
That's
for
nice.
myself, but to commit to something
Yeah.
scares me just because
Right.
life is crazy.
Right.
But if I'm like, I'm free that weekend or that
Yeah.
night, and that sounds fun, go do kickball for a day without having, you know, but,
Yeah, and that could be a survey question too, would you prefer
Yes.
a league versus?
Yeah.
A league versus show up and pick teams
yeah.
type thing.
Mhm.
It's funny to me that after, 2 years after we got that center field light pole out of the field of play in the softball field.
Yeah, then it dies.
It's like, then nobody's using it anymore.
But I'm glad it's out.
So the light pole that's just outside the fence now, there are
Mm-hmm.
2 of them. They're just outside the fence in center field now. They were inside the fence by like 60, 70
Yeah,
feet.
and one of them was covered by old farm
tires.
tires that were rock hard, and people would run into it all the time.
It was just as much of a risk to hit those tires.
Oh yeah. Just smack right into it, and then they're just
Give
laying
it
there.
a chance, get some cushion, but.
No, but they might have back in the day, but these tires have been down there for a long
We had
time.
some cured for a
Yeah.
Oh,
while.
yeah, that's funny. Okay, well, I think we can just wait, I mean, we're kind of butting right up against, summer's upon us, so, we could try a few splashes of things if we wanted to, we could try to get a survey out sooner than later, or do we wanna wait for, planning through the fall and winter so that we can have some time to figure out what we're doing for next year, or what direction would you like us to go?
Could you do like a fall softball, adult softball? Would
Because you
that
free
be
up, a
better?
lot of fields are freed up in the fall.
Because-
You don't have any
That would
kids
help
growing.
you pace,
Mm-hmm. The field time.
pace your work as well.
Even just like
Like
July.
Summer.
It's not even fall, it's like late summer.
Yeah,
If there was
yeah,
interest in
like
it.
August, September.
It just,
Yeah.
they empty out,
Yeah.
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 Sorry, I missed
Once
that.
the
August,
kids have to
September, you
go
have a
back
lot
to
more
school.
field time.
Yeah, right.
So, but I don't know, I mean, I think for summer, that might be a tough one for this year,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't be opposed to it either. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe we put out that survey this summer for things starting in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, 'cause those fields that not used hardly at all in the fall.
I think there was one year where they had a fall softball team,
There,
Eli.
yeah, well, there still is, I mean, so there's a fall, like, high schoolish league, but that only uses the field so often.
They only practice there.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
so it's,
Okay.
That sounds perfect. That'll give us a little bit of time to gather up information.
plus you could play wiffle ball on the T-ball field.
On the T-ball field, yeah.
Mhm.
As long as we knew when the practices were and stuff,
Mhm.
which,
Mhm.
with that, that'll make it easier.
Yeah,
Or if we had to say, okay, this day is, there's enough practice times for Monday through Thursday, Fridays are for
mm-hmm.
wiffle ball or whatever.
So did we decide that sand volleyball was a no, or we didn't have interest, or I can't remember what was?
I have it on the website. I just stuck
Okay.
with what had been done the year prior up
Okay.
until this point. But what I try to do is, so pickleball and sand volleyball, to have them only overlap by, I think, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, just so that if people wanted to do both, they could or whatever. So I currently have it in the plans, if that is still good.
I do like the idea too, maybe if there is not enough for enough teams of doing like a Saturday tournament.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Those go
I-
well.
Yeah.
Same thing for, like you just said, is with all my kids playing
Right.
balls and camps and whatever, it's hard to commit to a league,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and we could do the reach out if we'd rather put something out there, and,
If we don't get a lot of interest in a league,
because we only had how many teams last year?
6.
Yeah, it was pretty low.
We didn't have a team.
well, were you still on the IR?
No,
Oh, okay, you're
no
back.
way. I took
I
one
can't remember
season
the,
off.
I can't remember what season it was.
In fact, there was one game where McLeod and I played 3-on-6 and we darn near won.
We did shorten the amount of days though, just to hopefully make it a little bit easier for people.
Yeah, cause it was fairly long.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
good. All right, last one in softball fields.
There is that shed in between the softball field. The high school is wondering if we can put our equipment in there. And like our balls and nets and stuff, so we don't have to carry them back and forth to the vehicles every single time. That's the question we had on that.
How much stuff are we talking?
Like 4 pop-up nets and like 5 buckets of balls.
Is it all clearly marked? and
Yes,
everything?
everything's all clearly marked, yes.
Well, let's talk to Drew, make sure.
So
make
that's
sure
the
we got
one,
room
that's
there.
the one, otherwise, another option is then we can get, I have a metal portable shed on a pallet thing that we could set out. So I don't,
Day like today, I worry about those things staying.
That one at the top.
well, this one's like this is like a heavy steel, like,
Okay.
it won't blow anywhere, but it's just, you know, because otherwise it's
Yeah.
really hard to get stuff set up in time for.
Yeah, we can talk to
Yeah.
Drew tomorrow and see what we figure out.
Perfect.
That's all I had on that one.
All right,
That's good.
we're ready to adjourn?
I just
Oh,
thought of
no.
something, so Sailor had, I asked her if I was supposed to bring something up, cause I think she wanted me to. She was looking into doing a softball camp this spring.
Yep, she was talking about
Okay, and they wanted to do it through LBSA, but they don't have insurance, they don't hold insurance, so that was an issue. So I think she wanted me to, bring it up and see if it could be like a collaboration with the city, potentially. And if that would be something, I don't know, so I don't have any details, so, but,
Yeah, why don't we?
I talked with her before her thing and she was gonna look
Okay.
into it. So was this recently?
yeah, like,
Okay.
this
Got it.
last, I think, end
I
of
haven't
last
had a
week,
chance to
maybe.
connect with her after she was going through
Yeah.
that, so.
Like I said, I don't have any good details to.
Yeah.
Let's figure out
Yeah.
what logistics look like,
Okay,
like if we're sponsoring it, that changes things, but,
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, we've got the insurance, so.
yeah,
perfect.
Is,
Yeah.
is there a way to sponsor it, but then the people putting it on, we pay them?
Volunteers,
Yeah, we pay them though, and that's where cause I'm guessing it's a
so I'm
fundraiser.
gonna pay them, but I'm gonna have
no,
to,
well,
Hire
I
them.
think it's,
Okay.
I think it's a clinic.
yeah,
It would match the demographics of our rec program, you know, that would also benefit you, but.
But,
they
okay,
have to pay to get in.
so why does it matter if LBSA runs it then, I guess?
so they don't carry insurance,
Right,
so
but
they,
But if it was run through the city, it would be if LBSA put it on through the city, you know, so they manned the people, so there's under the city's
I don't
insurance.
know what the
Yeah.
Okay.
line would be, or the logistics of it would be, she sent me this
Registration
flyer.
fees, stuff like that, that would work if it's not available to
So,
one number of.
she has it worked out, I think, someone to kind of direct the camp that has like college experience, and then it would be, looks like she has an 8U to a 12U here in Lennox, looking at probably May 17th is what they were kind of planning on originally, so. But there's, what they have on here, again, is offense and defense only, could be $40 per player, and then if you wanted to do offense, defense, and the pitching clinic, then it would be $50 a player. So, again, she just has this flyer drafted up, but I think they kind of hit a wall with the whole insurance thing, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright,
we
we'll
can
revisit
discuss, yeah.
that,
we
or
can
you
discuss.
guys,
I just didn't wanna hurt you
Yes.
mad that I didn't bring it
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
Bring it up.
She's watching right now, she's texting you, oh, I'm so grateful.
alright.
Alright, I motion to adjourn.
Anyone else?
Second.
Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Easy peasy.
That was a quick one, I like that.
Yeah.